All right, so you want to break into the tech world, huh? Well, get ready, because today we're diving deep into tech interviews.
Whether you're prepping for one right now or just curious about what goes on behind those closed doors, this deep dive is for you.
Exactly. We're going to unpack a super relevant article called An Insider's Look at the Tech Interview Process, Navigating Your Way to Success.
This article focuses on landing those sweet gigs at big name companies like, Google, Amazon, Facebook, the FAAng companies.
But honestly,
Yeah,
the insights here are pretty much gold no matter where you're applying in tech.
it's true. The whole industry kind of looks to these companies to set the standard.
Right, so tech interviews used to be all about these weird brain teasers and abstract thinking puzzles.
Yeah, it was like, can you figure out how many golf balls fit in a Boeing 747?
Seriously.
Yeah.
But now it's a lot more practical, right? More about actual coding skills, how you solve problems, and algorithmic thinking.
That's right. They want to see if you can actually build things, not just solve riddles.
Exactly. And those FAAng companies, they've really pushed this shift towards practicality.
Absolutely. They've raised the bar so high that even if you're not aiming for one of those giants, understanding their interview process gives you a huge advantage.
It's like knowing the secret code to unlock any tech interview.
Exactly.
So let's break down this interview process step by step. Our article lays out 4 main stages, kind of like levels in a video game.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Level 1, the initial screening.
The first boss battle.
Pretty much.
Okay.
This is where they're checking out your resume, maybe doing a quick chat with a recruiter.
And of course, the infamous online coding tests.
Yeah, those can feel a bit like an obstacle course, right?
Totally. They're designed to filter out anyone who doesn't meet those baseline skills.
But if you make it through level 1, congratulations. You've unlocked level 2, the technical phone interview.
Now you're talking to a real engineer, and you're coding live while they watch.
No pressure, right?
Well, there's definitely some pressure, but it's also your chance to show off how you think.
Yeah, like how you approach a problem, how you break it down.
Exactly. And how clearly you can explain your solution. This is where communication skills become crucial.
And then, if you survive the phone interview, you've got to face the big one. Level 3, the on-site interview.
This is the main event, with multiple rounds, each focusing on a different aspect.
You'll have coding challenges where data structures and algorithms reign supreme. If you're going for a senior role, there might be system design interviews too.
And of course, you can't forget those dreaded behavioral interviews.
Oh yeah, where they try to figure out if you're actually a human being and not just a coding machine.
Exactly.
And after all that, you reach the final boss. The hiring team huddles and decides your fate.
That's level 4, the final decision.
But hold on, we've got a lot of prep work to do before we even get to that point. It's like leveling up your skills before you face the final boss.
Exactly. And that preparation is key to acing these interviews. Let's start with the foundation, data structures and algorithms.
The bread and butter of coding.
The article highlights some key ones: arrays, linked lists, trees, stacks, queues, hash tables.
Okay, those are some familiar terms, but sometimes they feel a bit abstract,
I get it. But think about it this way. Imagine you're building a navigation app. To find the shortest route, you might use a graph. That's a data structure.
Oh, okay, I see.
These concepts are the building blocks of so much of the tech we use daily.
So mastering them is like unlocking a whole new level of understanding.
Exactly. And it's not just about memorizing them. It's about understanding how and when to use them.
Right, like having the right tool for the job.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The article actually suggests a 5-step approach to problem solving that I find super practical.
Okay, let's hear it.
First, start with those easier problems and gradually work your way up. Kind of like training for a marathon. Then, time yourself to mimic that interview pressure. Practice explaining your thinking out loud. Remember, communication is key. And finally, after each problem, take the time to review the solution and learn from any mistakes.
So it's all about deliberate practice, not just mindlessly grinding through problems.
Exactly. And there are some fantastic platforms out there to help you practice.
Yeah, like those coding challenge websites.
Exactly. LeetCode, HackerRank, AlgoCademy. Think of them as the gyms of the coding world, packed with problems and ways to track your progress.
And if you're going for those more senior roles, system design is crucial.
That's right. This is where you're thinking about how to build systems that can handle tons of users and data.
So like designing a website that won't crash when a million people try to access it at the same time.
Exactly. Think load balancing, which is like directing traffic to avoid congestion,
Okay, I can see how that's important.
or caching, which is like storing frequently accessed data for quicker retrieval.
Oh, so like when your browser remembered your passwords.
You got it. These concepts are essential for things like social media platforms, e-commerce sites, you name it.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then there's the behavioral interview.
The one where they try to get inside your head?
Well, not exactly. It's more about understanding how you've handled situations in the past, what your work style is like.
Right, because companies aren't just looking for coding robots.
Exactly. They want people who can communicate, collaborate, and adapt.
So teamwork and all that jazz?
Precisely. The article mentions the STAR method, which is a super helpful way to prepare for these types of questions.
What's that?
STAR stands for situation, task, action, result. Basically, you practice telling stories about your past experiences.
Oh, so instead of just saying, I'm a great communicator, you tell a story about a time your communication skills saved the day.
Exactly. It makes it much more real and impactful.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
It's about showing, not just telling.
I like it. So we've covered the main interview stages and some key areas to prepare for. But what about the actual day of the interview? What tactical tips can you share?
Oh, we've got plenty of those. Whether it's a phone, video, or on-site interview, there are some golden rules to keep in mind.
All right, spill the secrets.
First off, for those virtual interviews, make sure you have a rock-solid internet connection.
And a quiet space. No barking dogs or screaming kids in the background.
Exactly. And test your equipment beforehand so you're not fumbling around during the call.
Right, because tech problems are the last thing you need when you're already nervous.
For sure. And of course, have a pen and paper handy for notes.
Maybe a stress ball, too, just in case.
Haha, maybe. Now, for those in-person interviews, first impressions are everything.
So dress to impress.
Well, at least business casual. Tech companies are usually pretty laid back and definitely arrive early, just in case there's traffic or you get lost.
And bring extra copies of your resume. Always be prepared.
Absolutely. Oh, and a water bottle and some snacks for those breaks between interviews.
Yes, those interviews can be marathon sessions.
Now, once you're in the actual coding interview, resist that urge to jump into coding immediately.
But isn't that the whole point?
It's tempting, I know, but taking a moment to really understand the problem, clarify anything you're unsure about, and discuss potential solutions with your interviewer shows that you're thoughtful and strategic.
So don't be a coding robot, be a coding strategist. Got it.
Exactly. Time management is also key. Keep an eye on that clock and pace yourself.
Like a timed exam. Got to make sure you attempt all the questions.
Exactly. And communication, my friend, is your secret weapon.
Oh, tell me more.
Your interviewer is not a mind reader. Talk through your thought process, even if you're not sure of the solution.
So think out loud.
Precisely. This helps the interviewer understand how you approach problems and can guide you if you get stuck.
Okay, that makes sense. Like, here's where I'm at. Here's what I'm thinking. Am I on the right track?
Exactly. And don't just focus on getting the right answer. Think about the efficiency of your code, too. Be prepared to discuss Big O notation, which is a way to describe how the performance of your code scales with the size of the input.
Okay, Big O notation, that's a whole other can of worms. We might need a separate deep dive just on that.
Maybe so. But the key takeaway is write code that's not just correct, but also elegant and efficient.
Like a well-oiled machine.
Precisely. And one last tip for that coding interview, don't forget to test your code.
Oh, right, like proofreading an essay before you turn it in.
Exactly. It might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people forget this crucial step.
So test, test, and test again.
Absolutely. You want to make sure your code can handle anything thrown at it.
Okay, that makes sense. So we've talked a lot about the technical side, but you mentioned earlier that companies are also looking for those soft skills, right?
Oh, absolutely. They want more than just coding whizzes. They want people who can work effectively in teams, communicate their ideas clearly, and adapt to new challenges.
So teamwork makes the dream work.
You got it. And remember, communication is key here. Can you explain complex technical stuff in a way anyone can understand? Can you listen to feedback and respond thoughtfully?
It's like being a translator between the world of code and the world of, like, normal human beings.
Exactly. And it's not just about speaking. Can you write clear emails, reports, and documentation?
Because a lot of communication in tech is written, right?
Absolutely. And then there's collaboration. Can you work effectively in a team, contribute your ideas, and be open to others' input?
Like being a team player and not a lone wolf coder.
Precisely. And finally, adaptability.
Oh, yeah, that's huge in the tech world. Things change so fast.
Exactly. Can you learn new technologies quickly? Can you adjust to new processes? Can you handle the uncertainty that comes with a fast-paced environment?
So basically, be a tech ninja, ready to adapt to anything.
Pretty much.
Okay, so soft skills are just as important as technical skills.
Got it. So let's say we've prepped for the interview, nailed all the stages, and hopefully we've impressed the hiring team. What happens after the interview? What's next?
Well, believe it or not, the interview process doesn't end when you walk out of the room or log off that video call.
Wait, there's more. Tell me everything. First things first, send a thank you note within 24 hours of your interview.
Oh, right, like a little reminder of how awesome you are.
Well, it's more about showing professionalism and appreciation for their time. A quick email thanking them and reiterating your interest in the opportunity goes a long way.
Makes sense.
What else? While you're waiting to hear back, take some time for self-reflection.
Like analyze my performance.
Exactly. Think about what went well and what could have been better. It's valuable for future interviews.
So like watching a game replay to see what plays work and what plays I need to practice more.
Exactly. And if you haven't heard back within the time frame they gave you, it's okay to send a polite follow-up email, just a quick check-in on the status of your application.
Just a little nudge to say, hey, I'm still here and excited about this opportunity.
Exactly. And if you do get an offer, congratulations. But even if you're not selected for the role, don't be discouraged.
Rejection is part of the game, right?
Absolutely. It's a chance to learn and grow, ask for feedback if possible, so you can understand their perspective and improve for next time.
Because every interview, win or lose, is a learning experience.
Precisely. And speaking of learning, the article really emphasized the importance of continuous learning in tech.
Oh yeah, tech moves so fast it's like you're always playing catch up.
Exactly. If you're not constantly learning and expanding your skill set, you'll quickly fall behind.
So even if you land that dream job, you can't just sit back and relax.
Not at all. The learning never stops.
Okay, so how can our listeners stay ahead of the curve?
There are tons of great ways. Working on personal projects is fantastic for exploring new technologies and building your portfolio.
It's like having your own coding playground where you can experiment and create whatever you want.
Exactly. And contributing to open source projects is another amazing way to learn from others and collaborate with a global community of developers.
So you're not just building your skills, you're giving back to the tech community.
Exactly. And of course, staying updated on industry trends is crucial.
So following tech blogs, attending conferences, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And with all the online resources available today, there's no excuse for not staying in the loop.
Yeah, it's like having a whole universe of tech knowledge at your fingertips.
Absolutely. Platforms like LeetCode, HackerRank, AlgoCademy offer a ton of coding problems to practice with.
And online courses like Coursera and edX can teach you almost anything.
Right. And YouTube tutorials, tech podcasts, GitHub repositories, they're all invaluable for learning from others and staying up to date.
It's amazing how accessible learning has become.
It really is. And we can't forget about AI.
AI, like robots taking over our interviews.
Not quite. But AI is playing a bigger and bigger role in interview preparation.
Okay, tell me more.
AI-powered platforms can provide personalized learning paths, automated code review, even interview simulations. It's like having a virtual interview coach.
So AI is making interview prep more efficient and effective.
Exactly. It's pretty exciting stuff.
It is. But with all this talk about technology and preparation, it's easy to forget about the human element of the interview process.
That's a great point. Ultimately, tech interviews are about connecting with people, showcasing your skills and personality, and demonstrating that you'd be a valuable addition to their team.
So even with all the AI and fancy algorithms, it still comes down to human connection.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive. We've explored the different stages of the tech interview process, talked about the essential skills you need, both technical and those all-important soft skills. We've even touched on the exciting world of AI-powered interview prep.
It's a lot to take in, but hopefully it's been helpful.
I think so too.
And this is just the beginning.
Oh, that's right. We've got a lot more ground to cover in our next two parts.
Stay tuned. Welcome back to our tech interview deep dive.
We're back for round two. And this time, we're going to tackle those common pitfalls that can really trip you up in a tech interview.
Even seasoned pros can make these mistakes, so it's definitely worth paying attention.
Exactly. We want to help you avoid those traps and put your best foot forward.
So let's jump right in. One common pitfall we touched on earlier is diving into coding too quickly.
Yeah, I can see how that would be tempting.
Yeah.
You get a problem, and you just want to start solving it.
But taking that extra moment to fully understand the problem, clarify any uncertainties, and maybe even discuss potential solutions with your interviewer, that's crucial.
So it's not about being the fastest coder in the West.
Right. It's about demonstrating a thoughtful and strategic approach to problem solving.
Makes sense. So resist that urge to just start typing away like a madman.
Exactly. Take a deep breath, ask those clarifying questions, and make sure you and your interviewer are on the same page before you write a single line of code.
Okay, got it. What else?
Another pitfall to watch out for is neglecting time management.
Oh, yeah. That's easy to do when you get absorbed in a problem.
Exactly. You can get so focused on finding the solution that you lose track of time.
But in an interview setting, every minute counts.
Right. Keep an eye on the clock, and if you're spending way too much time on one problem, don't be afraid to ask for a hint or move on.
It's like a strategic retreat, regroup, and come back stronger.
Exactly. You want to make sure you have enough time to showcase your skills across a variety of topics.
Okay, time management, check. What else can trip people up?
Poor communication. This one can be a real killer.
Oh yeah, communication is key in any situation, but especially in a tech interview.
Remember, your interviewer can't read your mind.
Unless they have some crazy mind-reading tech we don't know about.
Right. But seriously, they need to understand your thought process. It's not enough to just write the correct code.
So talk it out. Explain what you're doing and why.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think aloud, verbalize your ideas, and don't hesitate to ask questions if you're unsure about something. The more you communicate with your interviewer, the better they can assess your abilities.
Makes sense? So communicate, communicate, communicate.
You got it. Now let's talk about efficiency.
Ah, yes, efficiency. Not just getting the right answer, but getting it in the most elegant and optimized way possible.
You're catching on. Be prepared to discuss the time and space complexity of your algorithms using Big O notation.
Okay, big O notation.
Oh.
I'll admit, that one always makes me a little nervous.
I understand. It can seem intimidating at first, but it's really just a way to describe how the performance of your code scales as the input size grows.
So like, how much time and memory your code will use when you're dealing with massive amounts of data.
Precisely. And that's something companies, especially those big tech giants, really care about.
Because when you're dealing with billions of users, efficiency is everything.
Exactly. Okay, one last pitfall I want to highlight. Failing to test your code.
Oh, come on, who doesn't test their code?
You'd be surprised. It's tempting to think you've nailed the solution and move on, but testing is crucial.
Because bugs are a coder's worst nightmare.
Exactly. You always want to test your code thoroughly with various inputs, including those tricky edge cases, to make sure it's robust and reliable.
So like, if you're building a bridge, you wouldn't just assume it's going to hold weight, you test it, right?
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered some major pitfalls to watch out for.
But let's shift gears now and talk about something that's just as important as your technical skills. Soft skills.
Oh yes, those all-important soft skills. Companies want more than just coding robots, right?
Exactly. They're looking for well-rounded individuals who can communicate effectively, work collaboratively, and thrive in a fast-paced, ever-changing environment.
So let's break down those key soft skills that can make a real difference in your tech interview.
Sounds good. First up, communication.
The cornerstone of, well, everything.
Exactly. Being able to communicate clearly and effectively is crucial, both verbally and in writing. Can you articulate your ideas in a way that anyone can understand?
Like, can you explain complex technical stuff to your grandma?
Haha, exactly. And it's not just about speaking, it's about writing, too. Clear emails, reports, documentation, it all matters.
Because a lot of communication in tech is written, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, another essential soft skill is collaboration.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
You got it. Can you work effectively as part of a team, contribute your ideas, and be open to others' input?
So it's not about being a lone wolf coder. It's about being a team player.
Precisely. And finally, adaptability.
Ah, yes. Being able to roll with the punches, especially in the fast-paced world of tech.
Exactly. Can you learn new technologies quickly? Can you adapt to new processes? Can you handle ambiguity and uncertainty with grace and resilience? These are all qualities that companies highly value.
So while you're busy honing your coding skills, don't forget to work on those soft skills too.
They're just as important.
Okay, good advice. So let's move on to what happens after the interview, the post-interview phase. What should our listeners be doing while they're waiting to hear back?
The waiting game can be tough, but there are definitely some things you can do to make the most of it.
Okay, lay it on me. What are the post-interview must-dos?
First and foremost, remember that thank you note we talked about earlier.
Oh,
It's a simple gesture, but it goes a long way.
It's like saying, hey, I appreciated your time, and I'm still interested.
Exactly. Just a brief email thanking the interviewer and reiterating your enthusiasm for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you note, check. What else?
While you're waiting, take some time for self-reflection.
So, like, analyze my performance.
Precisely. Think about what went well during the interview and what you could have done better.
It's like watching a game replay to identify areas for improvement.
Exactly. This kind of self-assessment is incredibly valuable for future interviews.
Makes sense. So send a thank you note, reflect on the interview. What else?
If you haven't heard back within the time frame they gave you, it's perfectly acceptable to send a polite follow-up email.
Just a quick check-in to see where things stand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you do get an offer, well, congratulations.
That's what we like to hear.
But even if you're not selected for the role, don't despair. It's an opportunity to learn and grow. Ask for feedback if possible so you can understand their perspective and improve for next time.
Because rejection isn't failure, it's feedback.
Exactly. Now, regardless of the outcome of your interview, it's crucial to remember that learning and development should be an ongoing process in the tech world.
Oh yeah, tech moves so fast you gotta keep learning or you'll get left behind.
Precisely. Continuous learning is key. If you're not constantly expanding your skill set, you risk becoming obsolete.
So even if you've landed your dream job, you can't just rest on your laurels.
Absolutely, the learning never stops.
So what are some ways to stay ahead of the curve and keep those learning gears turning?
There are so many options. Working on personal projects is a fantastic way to explore new technologies, build your portfolio, and demonstrate your passion to potential employers.
It's like having your own little coding sandbox where you can experiment and build whatever you want.
Exactly. And contributing to open source projects allows you to learn from others, collaborate with a global community of developers, and make a real-world impact.
So you're not just learning, you're giving back to the tech community.
Exactly. And of course, staying updated with industry trends is essential.
So following tech blogs, attending conferences, trying out new technologies, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And with the abundance of resources available online these days, there's really no excuse for not staying ahead of the curve.
It's like having a whole universe of knowledge at your fingertips.
Platforms like LeetCode, HackerRank, and AlgoAcademy offer tons of coding challenges to practice with.
And online courses, like those from Coursera, edX, and Udacity, provide structured learning on a wide range of tech topics.
YouTube tutorials, tech podcasts, GitHub repositories, they're all incredibly valuable for learning from others and staying in the loop.
And we can't forget about the growing influence of AI in interview preparation.
AI-powered platforms are really starting to revolutionize how we prepare for interviews.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
They offer personalized learning paths, automated code review, interview simulations, and even progress tracking.
It's like having a virtual mentor guiding you every step of the way.
Exactly. Technology is transforming every aspect of the job search process, and it's pretty exciting to see.
It is. But with all this emphasis on technology, it's important to remember that tech interviews are ultimately about human connection.
You're absolutely right.
At the end of the day, you're interacting with real people, showcasing your skills, sharing your experiences, and trying to convince them that you'd be a valuable asset to their team.
So even with all the AI tools and resources out there, the human element remains central to the tech interview process.
Will said. Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more crucial aspect we need to discuss: the power of storytelling.
Storytelling in a tech interview.
Yes, it might seem a little unexpected, but trust me, it can make a world of difference.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
When you're answering those behavioral questions, the ones about your past experiences, try to weave your responses into compelling stories.
So don't just list your accomplishments, bring them to life through storytelling.
Exactly. Instead of saying, I'm a great problem solver, tell a story about a time you faced a particularly challenging problem and how you used your problem-solving skills to overcome it.
I see your point. A well-told story can be much more engaging and memorable than a dry recitation of facts.
Absolutely. Stories have this unique power to connect with people on an emotional level, which can make a big difference in an interview setting.
So how can our listeners become better storytellers?
First, identify the key skills and qualities you want to highlight during your interview. Then, think back to specific experiences that showcase those skills.
So, like, think of those hero moments in your career where you really shined.
Exactly. Once you have a few potential stories in mind, practice telling them out loud.
Practice makes perfect.
Right. Pay attention to the flow of the story, the details you include, and the overall message you want to convey.
And don't be afraid to add a touch of personality to your stories. Let your unique voice and experiences shine through.
Authenticity is key.
Absolutely. And when you're telling those stories during the interview, make sure you're clear, concise, and focused.
So get to the point and avoid rambling.
Exactly. And remember, interviewers are most interested in the actions you took and the results you achieved.
So what did you do, and what was the impact?
Precisely. So, embrace the power of storytelling. It's a valuable tool that can help you stand out in a crowded field of candidates and leave a lasting impression on your interviewers.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, but before we move on, I want to touch on one final but crucial aspect. Mindset.
Yes, mindset. That can make or break your interview experience.
It's all about how you approach the challenge, how you handle setbacks, and how you maintain your confidence throughout the process.
Exactly. So let's talk about some tips for cultivating a positive and resilient mindset.
Sounds good. Mindset tips? Let's hear them.
First and foremost, remember that rejection is a part of the process.
Yeah, we've all been there.
It's important not to take it personally. Even the most successful tech professionals have faced their share of rejections along the way.
So don't let rejection define you.
Exactly. View each interview as a learning opportunity, regardless of the outcome. And if you do get rejected, try to get feedback from the hiring team. Use that feedback to improve your approach for next time.
So turn that rejection into a learning experience.
Precisely. Another important tip is to manage your expectations. Don't expect to get an offer from every interview you go on.
Yeah, that's setting yourself up for disappointment.
Right. Focus on doing your best, presenting yourself authentically, and remember, the right opportunity will come along eventually.
It's all about finding the right fit.
Exactly. And speaking of fit, it's important to remember that you're interviewing the company just as much as they're interviewing you.
Oh, that's a good point.
Make sure the company's values, culture, and work environment align with your own.
Because a great job isn't just about the skills and the salary. It's about finding a place where you can thrive and feel fulfilled.
Absolutely. Now, another crucial mindset tip is to stay positive.
It's easier said than done sometimes.
I know, it can be tough, especially if you've been through a string of rejections.
Okay.
But try to maintain a positive outlook. Focus on your strengths. Celebrate your small victories. And remember why you're passionate about tech in the first place.
It's all about keeping that passion alive.
Exactly. Surround yourself with supportive people, whether it's friends, family, mentors, or online communities.
Because having a strong support system can make all the difference.
Absolutely. And finally, remember to take care of yourself.
Oh, yeah. Self-care is so important, especially during the stressful job search process.
The tech interview process can be mentally and emotionally draining, so make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising regularly, and doing things you enjoy to de-stress and recharge.
Because a healthy mind and body are essential for performing your best.
Exactly. So to sum it up, cultivate a positive and resilient mindset. Approach each interview as an opportunity for growth, and remember to take care of yourself throughout the process.
Great advice. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive. We've explored those common pitfalls to avoid, emphasized the importance of those all-important soft skills, and even delved into the power of storytelling.
And we wrapped things up with some valuable mindset tips to help you navigate the tech interview process with confidence and resilience.
Excellent. Now, in our final part, we'll explore some strategies for continuous learning and discuss the exciting role of AI in interview preparation. Get ready to level up your interview game. All right, welcome back to the final part of our tech interview deep dive.
We've covered a lot of ground, from interview stages and those pesky pitfalls to the power of soft skills and even storytelling.
But now it's time to level up, right? We're talking about continuous learning, how to keep those skills sharp even after you've landed that dream job.
Because the tech world never stands still, does it? It's a constant evolution.
It's like you're on a treadmill that never stops. You got to keep running just to stay in place.
That's a great analogy. And even when you've reached a certain level, the learning never truly ends.
So what can our listeners do to make sure they're not getting left behind? What are some practical steps to stay ahead of the curve?
Well, we touched on personal projects before. They're an amazing way to dive into new technologies, build up your portfolio, and showcase your passion.
It's like having your own coding lab where you can experiment and create without any limits.
Exactly. It's all about exploration and pushing those boundaries. And then there's contributing to open source projects, which is a fantastic way to collaborate with other developers from all over the world.
You're learning from others, giving back to the tech community, and making a real-world impact. It's a win-win-win.
Absolutely. And of course, staying plugged into the industry is key. Reading tech blogs, listening to podcasts, attending conferences or webinars, all of that helps you stay in the loop.
And let's be real, there's no shortage of information out there.
It's true. The internet is a vast ocean of knowledge, especially for the tech world.
So there's really no excuse for not keeping up with the latest trends and technologies.
Exactly. And we can't forget about those online platforms we mentioned earlier, like LeetCode, HackerRank, and AlgoCademy.
They're like gyms for your coding brain.
That's a great way to put it. They're packed with coding challenges to help you stay sharp and practice those problem-solving skills. And then there are online courses from Coursera, EDX, Udacity. They offer structured learning on a huge range of tech topics.
Yeah, it's incredible how accessible learning has become. You can basically learn anything you want from the comfort of your own home.
It really is. And YouTube tutorials, tech podcasts, GitHub repositories, the list goes on. It's like having a personalized tech library right at your fingertips.
Speaking of personalized learning, we have to talk about the role of AI in interview preparation. It's becoming more and more prevalent.
AI is really shaking things up in so many fields, and interview prep is no exception.
So how is AI changing the game?
Well, AI-powered platforms can analyze your performance, figure out your strengths and weaknesses, and create a personalized learning path tailored just for you. It's like having your own AI coach.
That's pretty cool. What else can these platforms do?
They can provide automated code review, giving you instant feedback on your code style, efficiency, and potential errors.
So it's like having a super smart code editor that's constantly checking your work.
That's a great way to put it. And some platforms even offer AI-powered interview simulations, where you can practice answering questions and receive feedback from a virtual interviewer.
So you can get comfortable with the interview format and build your confidence before the real deal.
Exactly. It's incredible how technology is making interview prep more efficient, effective, and even, dare I say, fun.
It's a far cry from those days of cramming textbooks and memorizing algorithms.
It is. And the advancements just keep coming.
What we've covered a lot in this deep dive. We've explored the ins and outs of the tech interview process, talked about the essential skills, both technical and those soft skills that can make all the difference.
We've looked at those common pitfalls to avoid and the importance of continuous learning, even after you've landed that coveted job.
And we've even touched on the exciting role of AI in interview preparation.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. But as with any journey, it's time to reach our destination.
What's the key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
That while the tech interview process can be challenging, sometimes even downright daunting, it's also an incredible opportunity for growth. Each interview, whether it leads to a job offer or not, is a chance to learn, to improve, and to become a more confident and well-rounded individual. So embrace those challenges, learn from your experiences, and never give up on your dreams.
That's a perfect way to wrap things up.
The tech world is constantly evolving, and there's always something new to learn, something new to explore. So stay curious, keep coding, keep pushing those boundaries.
And remember, we're here to support you every step of the way.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of tech interviews.
We hope you found it insightful and empowering.
And until next time, keep striving, keep learning, and keep believing in yourself.
Farewell.